Hey there, I am Ina Speak Simply Malekish, and I enjoy sharing with you about sex, relationships, intimacy, and spirituality, just one bite at a time. And today I'm going to talk to you about how much sex is too much. As a marriage counselor, sex therapist, I do have clients who come in and they actually ask me that question, because their partners have been telling them that they're like a sex addict, there's something wrong with them, they always want sex. So of course my first question is quite intimate. It's like, okay, well, how much sex are you having? And are you having it with your partner, by yourself? So I get, of course, as you know, a variety of different answers. Usually, most of the time, it's actually healthy. So it's like they would like to have sex like 3 times a week. They might masturbate a couple of times a week. If they're not having sex, then they exchange that. We all know masturbation. I prefer to use the term self-pleasuring. Just nicer. It's actually what we should be doing, is pleasuring ourselves. I have some clients who have said, well, they need sex at least 2 to 4 times a day. That's a lot. Okay. There are some people who have a very high sex drive. And I can say, when my husband and I first got married, a little self-disclosure here, which was like 18, 19 years ago, we together had a very high sex drive. So we had 2 years of a honeymoon, and we oftentimes made love multiple times a day, 5, 6 days a week. So, and we were not young kids, I was like in my 50s. He was a little bit younger than I am. I robbed the cradle. What can I say? So when I have clients who say that they masturbate, self-pleasure multiple times a day, or they really need sex multiple times a day, now I'm wondering if there's an addiction. Okay, so there's the healthy side of it, which I expressed that my husband and I enjoyed. Then there's the unhealthy side of it, where it could be that masturbation, self-pleasuring, is just to use for both men and women, but I tend to think men might do this more. It's just to jerk off. It's just to get that release, and it doesn't really satisfy them because they're not pleasuring themselves. They're not taking their time. They're not manipulating their cock in different ways. And these are the terms I use. I could be clinical and say penis, but how many people say penis except a doctor? So we can say Mr. Happy, okay? Not really knowing how to bring pleasure to your own body, not to take the time to touch and caress yourself. Ladies, what you tend to do is you get out old Mr. Vibrator, and you plug Mr. Vibrator in, and there is no way a human being can ever compare with that kind of electrical stimulation. So I could do a whole segment just on the proper way to self-pleasure, where you take your time, you build the energy, you back off. If you are having lots of sex with a partner and it doesn't satisfy you, I would recommend the same thing. Slow down. Take your time. Let there be foreplay. Now, there are some women that will not have an orgasm with intercourse. It takes oral sex, it takes manipulation. Maybe she has her own special little dildo that she likes, her toy. And for you men, sometimes you go into early ejaculation or delayed ejaculation, where it's difficult for you to actually have the orgasm. So how much sex is too much? Well, if you're not an addict and if you're not misusing it, like because you're unhappy, so you're using it as an excuse, well, I'm going to go self-pleasure, and then half the day is gone and you haven't accomplished your task. And even though you self-pleasured in the morning, it's like you've got to do it again, and you have to do it again. That's an addiction. That is where you're using it as no different than alcohol or drugs or food, as a substitute to deal with life. Because when you have that orgasm, for those few moments, maybe 5 or 10 if you're lucky, you have stepped away from the stress and the demands of your everyday life. I don't recommend you use sex that way. Sex is too beautiful. It's God-given. It is something that was created as a natural part of our body so that we could heal ourselves. So if I feel myself being overly tired, I might go ahead and self-pleasure. I might not even take it to a full orgasm or ejaculation. I might just bring a nice warm feeling in my body, then relax and go to sleep, especially if I'm overtired. If I am needing, if there's a tension and it's been a rough week or a rough day, I might go ahead and use self-pleasuring to release that stress. And I take my time doing that because I want to get the most out of the time that I am pleasuring myself. So to feel it, experience it, imagine, if you want to go into erotic thinking or nature thinking, sometimes it's nature that arouses me, like the sun on my body. If you happen to be a nudist, that feels wonderful. Self-pleasuring is a wonderful thing, and as God created us to be able to pleasure ourselves, to heal ourselves. So our healing is very important. And I would much rather prevent a cold or the flu by self-pleasuring, kicking my overall energy. When I have that orgasm, it releases healing energy throughout my entire body into my cellular level, and it actually rejuvenates me at a cellular level. So when we learn that God, Great Spirit, has given us orgasm for pleasure, not just for procreation, that's the dogma of some of the churches. The purpose of being sexual with a partner is because of the level of intimacy. The heart opens, the body feels relaxed, the mind gets clear. If you take your time, if you have an open heart. So if a man and a woman are not happy with each other, I'm going to be talking about this in my next section. If they're not happy with each other, the last thing they want to do is make love or be in the same room with each other. So that'll be next week. Right now we're talking about how much sex is too much. So you have to decide for yourself, and I would recommend you talk to your partner. Usually one partner, either the man or the woman, has a very high sex drive. Most of my life, I have had a higher sex drive than my male partners. In this marriage, 19 years ago, I wanted a husband who had a sex drive as high as mine, if not higher. I found it. It works wonderfully. So no matter how old we get, we need to understand we don't have to lose our passion and our sex drive. I have clients who say their partners have come in and said there's something wrong with them. They're always wanting sex. So I need to find out what is their sex drive. What is the wife's sex drive or the husband's? Who has the higher sex drive? When the wife has the higher sex drive, then the man feels pressure to perform. Like he has to be able to get it up. He has to be able to please her. And then he has an ejaculation and she's not pleased. She wants more. Because she has a high sex drive. She wants to experience that intensity that will take her over and over and over the top. Some women have multiple orgasms. Some ejaculate. If the man has a higher sex drive, then the woman feels like she's just, servicing him. Now, if you love somebody, there's nothing wrong with occasionally being of service to each other. So occasionally, I have a sexual need that my husband pleasures me. He really has no need at that time. Sometimes he has a need and I will pleasure him. We need to open up our mind. Open up how you've been taught, what your religion was, what you picked up in school, what the silly notions are you picked up from TV, from movies, from books, from porn, and actually start learning about sacred sexuality. There's many books that talk about Tantra and Shulakoi Kwadoshka, which is the lineage that I have been trained in, spiritual sexuality that comes from the ancient Mayan and Toltec, handed down in an oral tradition to my teacher, Thunder Strikes, who then opened it up by permission of the Elder Council, and we now have workshops that we present around the world. So open your mind with books, with healthy, people don't even use DVDs anymore. I'm starting to age myself here, but however it is that you're going to find good educational material, If the partner with the lower sex drive is giving the partner with the higher sex drive a bad time, I hate to tell you this, sweetie, man or woman, whoever has the lower sex drive needs to increase their sex drive, needs to be more available to explore higher levels of orgasm, different types of orgasms. Women learn about ejaculation as well as the clitoral orgasms. 60% of all women do not orgasm with intercourse. Sorry, it's just not how we're built. We can orgasm in other ways, but we have to give ourselves permission. You men can be very helpful to us, but it's still our responsibility to have that orgasm. And I'm going to give you an example about, so if you get into a disagreement about the woman with the higher sex drive, healthy. I'm not talking about addictive, healthy. If you were running a business and you are very, very knowledgeable about your business and very successful, and you have a partner who's learning the business or who's been in it a long time, but they just don't have the moxie for it. There's just something they're not getting. They have their skill level. Would you turn your business over to the partner who has less knowledge to make it successful? Whatever they're doing, they're adding to it, but they just don't have what it takes to pop it over the top. No. If you're running a business, of course you're not going to do that. You'll negotiate with them. So the partner who has the higher sex drive is the individual who needs to keep the reins of keeping the sexual energy going, variety, take your time, slow down, find out what the partner with the slower sex drive needs. Remember, that could be a man or a woman. And if your needs are not being met, the last thing you want to do is make love. So I would invite you all to look at, are you being sexual with yourself, self-pleasuring? Do you have a partner, a friend, a lover, a spouse that you are being sexual with? Do you have a friend or a spouse or a lover that you're not being sexual with because you're on the outs? So you need to clean that up. If you're not being sexual, something's wrong. Emotionally, mentally, physically, or spiritually. Something's wrong if you're not being sexual with someone you love. You're unhappy. You've closed down. So the minute the bedroom closes, there's other things that need to be talked about. Please take a minute and you can look at my other platforms, and I'd be happy to work with you, because sexuality is a key component to our health and our well-being and our state of mind. That is why I have never heard anyone say, oh God, I'm leaving. Or, oh God, I'm going. It's always, oh God, I'm coming. We know what that means sexually, but it also means I am coming to you, Lord. I am feeling such a magnificent expression that at this moment there's no pain, there's no stress, there's no unhappiness. I am one with God. I'm one with Great Spirit, which is why we call it spiritual sexuality. So if you enjoyed this, please share it with others. You can subscribe, you can like this, and if you'd like to contact me directly, please, my contact information is right where you're watching this video. And I really thank you for your time, and I hope this has helped you. Blessings.